Hi everyone, this is Dov Hershkovitz. I'm here joined by Nadia Sotnikova, and this is the Pipeline Authoring 14.8 Kickoff video. And the goals of the milestone is first and foremost to improve the team error budget. And we have an epic for that. Now, the error budget is a marker that provides a clear indication for the reliability of our SaaS services that is tied to our group. And over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the error budget is degrading, and there are a bunch of endpoints that we need to look into. So you can see each issue represents an endpoint that we will look into. And I think that what we'll do is that in each iteration, we will try to optimize 1 to 2 endpoints until we will reach a level that we think that the error budget is good enough and it will be green. So there is a lot of work ahead of us, but we'll take it slowly, step by step. The second thing is to continue to work around the triggering and retrying jobs in pipeline, which is the epic that we've started a couple of iterations ago. It is about adding a retry button to a bridge job and then adding the ability to also retry the failed job in a downstream pipeline. So we are moving slowly but steadily on finishing this entire epic, and I'm hoping that in this iteration we'll be able to implement this screen with this split button. And this is the front end. So we have like front end issue and a back end issue for that. There is I think it's a UX depth or UI enhancement that we are rolling to the pipeline editor, the pipeline page, moving it to a fixed layout to full width, so user will be able to maximize the view of their pipeline. It is very useful when you have like a really large pipeline and you want to use the full extent of your screen. And lastly, this is a quite popular issue, which I'm really hoping we'll be able to implement, which is allowing user to identify when there is a new or empty branch. And first, you can see that this is a quite popular issue that has been in for quite some time, I would say. And unfortunately, we weren't able to proceed with that because it was very hard to identify when there is a new and empty branch. Now, why does user needs that? So the way our pipeline works today is that whenever you create a new branch, and if you have a pipeline configuration, your pipeline runs automatically. And some users, actually a lot of the users don't want that behavior because they're saying, hey, like the pipeline is empty, there is no reason for, sorry, the branch is empty. When I'm creating a new branch, there is no reason for the pipeline to run because it's a waste of time, resources, and CI minutes. But then again, there are some, because this is an established behavior, there are a lot of users that already used to do that and already build their processes based on the fact that new branch will automatically run a pipeline. So obviously we weren't able to change the default behavior. But what we were able to come up with, and there is a really long discussion that is going on this issue. I'm not going to show you that, but eventually what the proposal that we thought is to introduce a new variable, which is called CI branch commit count. And this variable will be, the value of the variable will be 0 when a new branch is created. So while doing that, when we do that, if a user will add an if statement to the workflow, checking this variable, they can determine if they want pipeline to run on an empty batch, which is the default behavior. And with using this rule, they'll be able to stop pipeline or not initiate a pipeline whenever a new branch is created. Yeah. So I'm hoping this explanation is understood, but you can read through that. If you have any other question, you can reach out to me. That's it. We do have some issues for 14.7 that might get carried over. Hopefully not a lot. This is why I kept this scope of work quite small. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Nadia. She's going to talk about the scope of work for UX. Take it away.
All right, let me share my screen. So in 14.8, we're going to continue our focus on the usability of pipeline authoring features. And there are several design issues that I will be working on that are quite interesting. So I will highlight just a few of them. So first, we want to allow you to select from a predefined list of values for CI environment variables. So there's multiple issues that we currently have around surfacing variables in GitLab UI. We think making variables accessible in the UI will make them much easier to use, and this is just one of those issues. So in this particular case, we want to surface the available variable values in the pipeline run page. So when you go to run your pipeline manually, instead of having to type in manually all of the variables, which is very error prone and it's very difficult to remember exactly what you need to type in, you would be able to actually select those variables from a dropdown. So I'll be working on the designs for this particular problem. Another issue is around showing information about runner during your pipeline configuration setup. So if you're a user of GitLab self-managed instance, in order for you to run a pipeline, you need to have a runner. So by default, you will not have access to any shared runners like on .com. So when you go to the pipeline editor to create your pipeline configuration, you need to know that you need a runner, because if you're entirely new to GitLab CI, maybe you will not be aware of this. So this is some information that we need to surface in the pipeline editor, and that would improve the experience for new users of GitLab CI who use self-managed. So I will be collaborating with the runner team on that, with the runner product designer, to make sure that we surface all the right information in a way that makes the most sense to new GitLab CI users. And there are also several issues around the pipeline editor usability improvements. So this milestone we finished, or last milestone, we finished UX research around pipeline editor usability testing, and we uncovered a very wide range of different improvements that we could pursue. So we're trying to address the low-hanging fruit there and trying to prioritize those improvements. So two issues that I will be working on in 14.8 is first, improving the behavior of the pipeline editor drawer. So currently, when you open the pipeline editor for the first time, we open the drawer with some documentation and onboarding information and links to the docs. In the drawer, we open it by default. And we noticed that this behavior is unexpected to many of our users, and we want to make it so you actually have to explicitly click on a button to open the drawer. It will align better with our design system guidelines, and it will be more user-friendly and more accessible as well. And another issue is around preventing users from making empty commits in the pipeline editor. So currently, you can click the commit button in the pipeline editor as many times as you want, and we don't really communicate that in the UI, but each click will create an empty commit if you haven't made any changes. So we want to fix that, and we want to make sure that you can only make the commit if you've made changes. And if you haven't made changes, then you shouldn't be able to just accidentally create a bunch of empty commits. So I will be exploring the user experience around that. And there's some other issues that I will be moving forward. I'm not gonna get too much into those, but overall, as you see, our focus is on improving the usability and working on the issues that came out of UX research. There are actionable issues, UX scorecard recommendations, and so on, because in the upcoming quarter, we will be contributing to the shared OKR around burning down all of those usability issues. So all of this design work will be in preparation for that. Yeah, that's it on my end.
Thank you, Nadia. And as always, if any of you has any questions, feel free to open an issue and mention me or mention Nadia. That's it. I hope you find this recording useful. Thank you and bye-bye.